Welcome to Suburban Warrior, the podcast that will impact, inspire, and empower you to transform your mindset and become the badass warrior that you are. I'm your host and fellow warrior, Chrissy Pfeiffer, former clinician and corporate marketing exec turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, performance and life coach, and mom to 4 not-so-little warriors. Each week, I will bring you honest conversations with inspiring guests to share their stories of resilience, optimism, success, and simple yet effective strategies so that you transform your thoughts and change your behavior to get the results you want in your life. You will be empowered to take action, warrior up, and believe in you. Let's do this. What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another episode of the Suburban Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Pfeiffer. And yes, you guessed it. I am back this week with another amazing Suburban Warrior here to share her story. And this week I have, yes, a fellow Suburban Warrior and coach on the show. And I just love when I have fellow coaches on because let's be honest, we all need a coach in our lives. I know for me specifically, some of the biggest times of growth in my life have been when I'm working with my coach. So I am just so excited to get into it today with my guest. And we're going to focus on what to do when you're up against it and how to move forward. So let me introduce to you, Kelly Mobeck is a certified performance and leadership coach, trainer, NLP practitioner, and a podcast host on Let's Be Honest Before We Start Pretending. After 20 years in corporate America, she stopped resisting the urge to create change in her own life and went back to school and certified as a coach, ultimately taking a leap of faith into a brand new career and has never looked back. Kelly has been coaching and training leaders, entrepreneurs, and businesses in the areas of excellence, leadership, personal and professional development with a dash of let's go and you've got this for almost 20 years. She states regularly that she now has the best career on the planet. In 2020, Kelly launched the podcast, Let's Be Honest Before We Start Pretending. It is Kelly's mission to help women who are ready to create the change and growth they want in their lives, businesses, careers, and relationships. These women may not yet understand that they are leaders in their lives and are ready to be bold and take action by creating new habits, beliefs, and behaviors, leading them to their biggest and most meaningful outcomes. She wants women to take the lead in their lives and know they deserve the abundant life they desire. Welcome to the podcast, Kelly.
Thank you, Chrissy. I am so thrilled to be here. I love your podcast. It's one of my favorites. I put it on play all the time. So I am so happy to be here and contribute to your audience and your listeners.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to have you on. Like I said, I love having fellow coaches on. I feel like it's like, mini coaching sessions for me. I get to learn so much from you. So let's get started and tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you were in the corporate world for a long time. You made the leap to coaching. You've been doing that for the last 20 years, which is amazing. Tell us a little bit about that transition and sort of who you are.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll start out with, I live in Southern California. We are pretty much empty nesters, which is in itself mind-boggling and so strange. I've got my youngest is going to graduate from undergrad this year. And so that's just mind-blowing to me at how quick things go. And so currently, like my team are 3 dogs. And so you might hear them. They might make a performance, but we're hoping that they don't. And you will hear me regularly say, I have the best job on the planet. I think that once I decided I'm a big fan of taking leaps of faith. Like, I just don't think anybody has to stay stuck. I just don't. I think that there are a plethora of possibilities out there. And once you get really tapped into what you're passionate about, let's go. Let's do the thing. It's scary. It's super scary. Right. And I remember taking that leap of faith. My boys were little, they were really little. And so, starting a new business, bringing up littles, there were some challenges there. I ended up working with a training company And that's where I got really, really into leadership. And I trained and coached leaders for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, my Brad, he was 16 and I realized, oh my gosh, there's 2 more years. I have 2 more years and he's going to college.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like time is flying and so I got restless again. I was like, what's happening? And so I took another leap of faith and started my own business. And that's been going for about 10 years. Primarily, I work with entrepreneurs. And through that time, I realized I got really clear. I love working with women, really being able to tap into who they are as a leader. I have a philosophy that we are all leaders, that, I get challenged on that. Like I hear it all the time. No, Kelly, no, I'm not a leader. I don't want that responsibility. I'm like, but who's leading your life? Is it your neighbor? Like, who's leading your life? So I really, right. So
it's about self-leadership as well, which people, I think they forget about that. Right.
Yeah. 100%. And through the years, I found with working with entrepreneurs, working in businesses, and I like coaching men too. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing. I'm a mom of all boys. So, that's not the issue. What I found is that women tend to not take the lead without apologizing. And I really wanted to help women stop that and really own, their inner truth, their inner power, their leadership unapologetically. And so that's why, like, in these last couple of years, the business has transformed quite a bit, where there's a large focus on women taking the lead in their life, and whether they're entrepreneurs or in, working for corporate or just looking to start something new. And it's so fun. It's awesome. I love it.
It is so fun. And I love that. I love what you said about, they don't take the lead without apologizing. Mm-hmm. And I think that, we're all so guilty as women, we're also guilty of doing that at some point in our lives, and feeling like we have to play small for other people, or feeling like we can't. And, leadership isn't just about being in a corporate career or starting your own business, or, it's about life in general. It's about everyday life and being the leader of your own life, whether you're a mom, a single person, married, have kids, don't. Like, it's really about self-leadership and kind of really learning that deeper sense of self and how to self-lead so that you can maybe eventually lead others in your own life. Yeah. So I love that.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think that when we realize, as you're saying, like, our own self-leadership, then we can make that impact in our life and then go ahead and make impact in others' lives too. It's like a ripple effect. So I agree 100% with what you're saying. And I felt like, I think what happened is I saw too many women apologizing for taking up their space, or like, maybe they were having some emotions and it was like, I'm sorry. You see it all the time. And I'm like, why are you sorry? Like, be you.
Absolutely.
Be you. Yeah.
And what you said in the very beginning about, staying stuck. I think that, just when you hear that term, staying stuck, there are so many people, men too, but that just stay stuck. They just, because they think it's the path of least resistance, or they're afraid of change. They're not sure how to make change. They're, not sure what that looks like. They don't have a coach or a mentor to help them through it. And, if they don't have like support within their family or whatever it may be, like, you really do need someone to say, you got this, you can do it, and help guide you through it. And I think that's one of the things that breaks my heart the most is when I work with women who just feel stuck and can't get out of it. They can't see their way out of it because they don't have that support system, or they don't know the mindset and the thoughts and the actions and the habits that they need to create to kind of get out of that stuckness, if you will. But when you can do that, it is like so life-changing, right? So it's really just a mindset shift of realizing that you don't have to stay stuck. It's pretty awesome.
I think you nailed it, Chrissy. It's 100%. It's mindset. It's all mindset. It's if that's in line and and you're directing it the way you want it to go, boom, everything is possible. It's possible. And it is hard sometimes when things are really challenging and you feel stuck. It is really hard to go, oh, sure, let me just shift my mindset. But we can. We can.
Yeah. Right. And, it's something that you have to work on like every single day.
Absolutely.
And it does get easier as you practice it and change it, but it's not something that just happens because you decide it's going to happen one day. Right.
I agree 100%.
Okay. So let's talk about this topic of sort of like, what do we do when we're up against it? Right. Because I love that. I love just that statement in general, because when you're up against it can mean so many different things, right? It could be something that's a major change happening in your life, or like literally like, how am I going to pick 3 kids up from school today at the same time at 3 different schools? Like whatever it may be for you in your life, but it's the same. So let's talk about that little topic of what do we do when we're up against it? Like, what does that look like?
Well, I think you shared that beautifully. It's going to be different for everybody. It's, like you said, I've got to pick up 3 kids at 3 different places at the same time. Maybe I have a health challenge. Maybe there's some financial challenge. I mean, name it. It's whatever it is. And this topic became extra juicy for me recently because as you know, Chrissy, like I am facing some health challenges. And so for me, this year is really focusing on putting myself as a priority first. And in the minute that I did that, suddenly I was up against it. Yeah. Suddenly I was up against it because I run my own business. I've got responsibilities and accountabilities and, all of the things. And let me just say, it could be really easy to go ahead and launch a new product, go ahead and create a new program and focus there versus, wait a second, hold please. Your health it matters. And you're up against it right now. And there are some challenges that are coming, but you've got this, right? So that topic became so juicy. And I realized in working with people, when the minute we declare something new in our life, up against it's going to show up, right? Sometimes they're known as circumstances, right? But we all have them. Every human being has circumstances. I always say the minute you declare something, just know your circumstances are going to get brighter, louder, more vivid, all of those things. And we can feel up against it. I want to be really clear. Up against it is a feeling.
Okay.
There may be things that, yes, it's true. I don't remember so it wasn't 3, it was 2, but I had to pick up 2 kids at the same place and have 2 different, one was at baseball, one was at soccer, and I'm one person. Oh, ask for help. What a concept, right?
Exactly.
So, it's a feeling. It is a feeling like up against it. And I think the way that I describe it, it almost feels similar to when you feel overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And I have a belief that overwhelm is a choice. By the way, I'm a messenger, just a messenger. Overwhelm is a choice. And it doesn't mean like you wake up in the day and go, today I'd love a giant helping of overwhelm and make it extra crispy. It's not like that's what I mean. It's a choice.
Yeah.
It's that there's a series of choices we're making or not making that are creating the overwhelm. And I think the same can be true when the up against it wall comes up. Yeah. And it's usually because there's some things that could be missing, or there's some tools that we're not utilizing. And we can move through it. And again, there are so many different levels of overwhelm. And this was the other thing that I found really interesting, Chrissy, is recently I started talking about it, and I thought, you know what, I'm even going to bring this into my podcast because I think that this is a really useful topic. And all of a sudden, when I started talking about it, I was like, oh, why am I like, who wants to hear this? Like, it's knee replacements that you're getting. That's part of what my health stuff is. There's some other things, but that's like the journey. And I found that I started minimizing my own up against it.
Yeah.
Right then and there, I was like, wait a second, we need to normalize up against it so that people can move forward from up against it. Does that make sense? Does that ever happen?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think it happens all the time. I think what we're feeling, we start to minimize or think that we're crazy or think that we're the only ones experiencing it. Yeah. And again, that was literally like part of my drive to even create Suburban Warrior in this podcast, because I think so many things that we're all feeling as women, especially like women, ages between like 30 and 60, like this middle age, if you will, women, like we're all feeling the same things. And some of it's some really heavy stuff, but we're not talking about it. Right.
Yes.
And then when we start to express how we feel in a certain way, we think, oh God, am I crazy? Like who's, what? I mean, I should just go back to doing, whatever it is I'm doing. So I think it's absolutely something that we all experience. It's that little voice, right? It's that voice in our head telling us, no, be quiet. No one cares. No one wants to hear about you. And I think that it's something we all experience. And the more that we talk, the more that we connect, the more that we share, the more freely we're able to sort of understand those emotions that come up and then deal with them and move on and move past it. And one of my questions, so I wanted to ask you, so like, since you're feeling you have a lot going on and you're feeling up against it, like what are some of those emotions that you're feeling, that you feel when you feel up against it? Like, how would you describe those emotions?
Such a great question. Because it was interesting when I first started feeling up against it in this recent one. That's the one I can connect with the most currently. I'm like, okay, I'm up against it. And I really had to stop and go, how am I feeling about this? Like, how am I, like, it's one thing to say I'm up against it. And yeah, it feels overwhelming, but I'll tell you what, the fact of the matter is I'm scared. That's really what's happening.
Okay.
That's what's happening. It's fear, 100%.
Okay.
And once I can almost feel some emotion coming up right now, sharing that, because I was like, oh, right. And I'm
sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but I was laughing at your face please. On Zoom because I get it, right? It's like a light bulb moment, right?
Yes.
Wait, oh my God, it's fear.
It's fear. And truly, that's when I looked back on other times that I have been up against it, because even though I have one currently, there's been many times. And if I think about it, it's fear. Yeah. It's almost always fear. And then I was like, okay, but Kelly, you're known to be courageous. What's happening?
Right.
Like, stop it.
Yeah.
There's no stopping it.
Yeah.
I'm scared. And I think both can be true. I think we can be afraid and be courageous at the same time. I know it. And so once I took time to stop and get present with the emotion and what was really occurring, I was like, okay, so it's fear. Yeah. Okay. And I did have that moment of like, what? Stop it. Right. But listen, this is what's true. And I get afraid a lot, like a lot. Yeah. So it's okay. And so I realized there's a quote by Theodore Roosevelt, and I'm not going to get it completely straight in this moment, but it's one that I've really been anchoring to recently. He talks about courage. It's essentially courage isn't without fear. It's the assessment that something is more important than the fear.
Yeah.
Is essentially what the quote is. And so that's where I was like, okay, you can be scared. You can have fear. You can be afraid, but there is something bigger here for you. And then essentially it will be for others, right? Because without health, it will be really challenging to continue to create an impact and to continue to do. And that makes me emotional too, like to continue to support women, right? Yeah. Well, I gotta be healthy. That's the thing. So that becomes more important, right? So we'll keep moving, toward doing the things. Yeah. And when the imposter comes in or the doubter comes in or that committee in the head that says, what is going on? Like, just go get the surgery already. Why are you fussing? Why are you afraid? I just thank it for sharing.
Yeah.
And I let it know.
Yeah.
Right.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I asked about those emotions that are behind it because as as a coach as well, like it's our thoughts that drive our emotions, then that drive our behavior and then that drive our results. But like when you're able to sort of name those emotions, like you just did, I think that that's when we can really address what it is we need to do to, like you said, acknowledge them, right? It's not that they're wrong. Those emotions are right. They're there, they're present, but just acknowledge them, figure out how we handle them in the most, meaningful way that we can, and then move on from them.
Right.
Right. Because I think that the fact that you're afraid or the fact that you feel fear truly means that you are growing. Right. It's growth. I think that anytime that we're facing any kind of challenge in our life or any kind of real growth in our life, we're afraid of it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and it's great too. You can see it with yourself, but you can see it even with kids, right? Like anytime that they are going to a dance or they're applying to college or they're going to college, like anything, there's always that fear. But yet it's like, they'll say to me like, "Oh, Mom, I'm so scared." And I'm like, no, you're not scared. It's just nervous. You're just excited. Like, let's flip those emotions, flip it.
Yes.
It's the same feeling, it's the same feeling as being scared. Your body's reacting the same physiologically, but you're just really excited about it. And, of course they're like, "Yeah, whatever, Mom." But but being able to sort of name them and understand sort of where those emotions are coming from and why they're happening. And then, like you said, acknowledge it, be grateful for it and say, okay, not now.
Yes.
I got this. And I'm
exactly.
Yeah.
I love what you just said, like with your kids, right? Really helping them reframe.
Yeah.
Helping them reframe, because we can allow ourselves to become very paralyzed with fear. Like, have you ever, I'll know, like just going on some amusement park ride, there was a day where there was like, let's go. But now I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And you can feel it. You can either go down the rabbit hole of that fear and just be like, exit stage left. Or like what you said, hold please. Like, this is excitement and you're nervous and it's excitement. Go for it anyway. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, totally. I feel the same way. Like, something as simple as we go skiing with our family still.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I was skiing on all the blacks, thought I was so great. Yeah. I go skiing now. I have a true fear.
Yeah.
I'm on the lift. I'm scared for the kids. I'm like, oh my God. But I literally have to just talk myself down.
Yes.
This is fine. You got this.
Yeah.
You're a good skier. Ski, I stick to the greens and blues now, but in general, I have to literally talk myself down and talk myself out of it. Or I would say, if I let that fear consume me, I would be exiting stage left, because I'd be like, no, thanks. You guys go ski. I'm going to sit out. But there's something in me that doesn't want to sit out. So, it's like an argument that I have with myself in my head. What do I do? Do I face the fear and do it anyway? Yes, of course. Or do I just sit out and not feel the fear? No, you have to face the fear and do it anyway. And that's hard. But once you do, you come out on the other side of it having a great day of skiing.
It's so true. It's so true. And sometimes thinking about that, putting yourself in that situation where, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to ski, I'm going to have a great day, or I'm going to sit, in the ski lodge and think about it.
Yeah.
And then probably start to all day and then just feel worse and worse and worse. Right. Yeah. It's literally one of the reasons that I'm choosing to do not one, but 2 knee replacements this year, because I found they just hurt all the time. And my level of, I can't ski anymore. And I loved skiing, loved it. Right. And now even having an opportunity, like what you just said, oh, maybe I can't do, the runs I used to do. But Chrissy, I would just be like, nope, my knees. Nope, my knees. Yeah. They've just taken.
So you're
over.
Taking that excuse completely out of the equation this year.
We're going to take thank you.
It out.
That is exactly, that was part of my purpose. Let's do this. We're going to remove excuses because I want to live life fully, and not be, this is a circumstance. Okay. What do you want to do about it? Right. Yeah. And that becomes more important than I'm afraid. Right.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be sitting in the ski lodge we all are having a great time and I'm feeling pretty low about myself. That's not fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So do you have like a piece of advice or, maybe a practice or something that somebody can do if they're listening to this right now and they're feeling like, okay, I feel up against it. If they're going through something right now, they're feeling that feeling, they're feeling fear, or they're questioning if they should be moving forward with something in their life or not, and they're not doing it maybe because of fear. Like, what is something that they could do to help change that mindset, to help change that habit, that feeling for them, that emotion?
Yeah, absolutely. There's three things. These are my three go-tos, and I'll just say it straight up.
Great.
Like the three things are, let's look at your mindset, number one, and I'll go right back to it. Number two, let's look at your belief and where's your belief right now? Because belief literally is nothing but a feeling of certainty. That's what a belief is, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And they can limit us or they can enhance us. And then you got to act. Like there's got to be some action components. So those are my three go-tos all the time. And so with the first one, mindset, how's my mindset right now? Like, where is my mindset right now? We got two. We got a growth mindset. We got a fixed mindset. Well, when I'm in fear, that fixed mindset, the one that wants to just keep me real, like stop, right? And there's some positive intent there. It just wants me to be safe, whatever that means, right?
Right.
So I've got to lean into like, okay, so this is going to be uncomfortable. We're growing here. This is going to require some getting outside the comfort zone. Okay. So where does my mindset get to be today? And I am a big fan of directing our brain to decide what kind of day I'm going to have before we even start it. Right.
Yeah,
like before we even start it. So how do you get your mindset in check? You let it know. You tell it. Like, guess what? Today's going to be a good day. And here's why, right? So I will always go back to, I'm a big fan of purpose and really understanding why I'm doing anything to begin with. And so I will start the day directing my brain. It's going to be a good day. Here's why. Here's who I'm going to be with. This is what we're doing, right? And I'm going to let it know before the brain decides directing my day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
So get ahead of it. Get ahead of it. I'm a big fan of affirmations, right? Like you heard it in the introduction, like there will always be a dash of let's go. And you've got this. Yeah. That's it. So I think that we can, right? So mindset is something that we are in charge of. Nobody else. We're in charge of it. And we can have all the skill set, all the education, all the experience, but without mindset, it's challenging. It's really challenging. So that's my number one go-to. I direct the brain in where we're going in the day, where we're going. That. And I do not want to sound Pollyanna, you guys. There are days that are really hard.
Yeah, of course.
Even on those hard days, I'm still going to direct my brain and my mindset to go in the direction I want it to go because it will change the experience. It will change the experience.
Yeah.
So that's
when you actually like pre-play the events in your mind, right? Pre-playing those events, help those events to come out closer to where you want them to be. It's not always going to be exactly how you want them to be.
Yeah, totally.
It's that pre-playing of events and the expectation that you're setting for yourself and in your mind that can help it to actually follow through in that way.
That's so brilliant, Chrissy. That's so brilliant and so true. And even when it doesn't play out exactly whatever, I've decided, I can pivot and move with that because my mindset's already where I want it to be. Yes. So it just makes it a little bit easier to pivot.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the next one, I love that you have belief next. I love it.
Belief. It is, I've got three. I'll just tell myself, I know my self-limiting beliefs. There's three and they go hand in hand and they go like this.
Okay.
You are a burden, you're a problem, and you're not enough. And those are the three. I've had them for years and years and years. And that's a whole other Suburban Warrior episode. Right?
That's on the next podcast episode.
Yeah. But I know what they are. And so what happens is they'll start to creep up when I'm feeling up against it. Those beliefs, they're just like, hey, want to dance? right? And they just get all in there. And so I've got to be savvy and realize I already know. I know who's coming. I see it. I see the words coming. And so I've got to go, you know what? Yeah, you're going to go and you're going to take on something in your life and you're going to require some help. And you know what? People ask for help.
Yeah.
Leaders ask for help. They understand that nothing happens without help.
Yeah.
So therefore, I can now counteract a problem and burden.
Yes.
Those are gone.
Love it.
Guess what? Enough is gone too, right?
Yeah.
So it's reaffirming, like, I believe that there is help. I believe that I am resourceful. I believe that I'm capable. Those are things I'm certain about, right? Those are, I feel certain about that. So I've got to lean in more over there to what belief is going to support me in this up against it. And by the way, even if I don't 100% believe it yet, you know, because sometimes we're like, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
So write it down, get it in front of your face. So it's not ruminating, get it in front of your face and keep saying it. It goes hand in hand with mindset. Yeah. It really, really does. So what are the beliefs that are going to enhance versus limit? And let's go, let's dance. So that's where I go with belief, you know, and just really understanding the things that are going to, you know, take me out of the game, so to speak, or the things that are going to keep me moving.
Yeah. And I think it's really the reason why I love that you have belief as number 2 is because I think that sometimes it's a healthy thing to question our beliefs, right? Yes. Because a belief is just a habit of thought. It is, right? I mean, so we have all of these habits that we do, you know, they're unconscious habits, the things, the way that we get out of bed in the morning, the way our morning routine goes, the way our evening routine goes, they're all habits, right? A belief is just a habit of thought. So sometimes you have to really question some beliefs that you have that aren't serving you, right? Yes. And one of the things that I always say is, I literally never say never, because sometimes I feel so strong in a belief or a conviction that I have, but yet I have been known to been like, wait, why did I think that? Like, I'll look back years later and be like, I can't even believe that I believe that. Right. So I think that we just have to question, you know, sometimes I shouldn't say question, challenge our own beliefs about certain things and understand that some of our beliefs come from things that we didn't even choose, from our upbringing, from something that was told to us. Somebody told us it was this way and we just took it as that was okay. That's how it is, but it doesn't have to be. So I think belief is huge. And I love that that's your number 2.
Well, I love what you said, because here's the thing. If we're not going to challenge our beliefs, the likelihood of creating change is going to be real slim, right? Yeah, and I love what you said. Like, I'll look back and go, oh, that was interesting. Yeah. Wow, I was really on a soapbox that day with that belief. And today I'm like, who's she?
Right. right. For sure.
But it's like, if we don't challenge our belief, then the likelihood of creating change is going to be really slim. And listen, here's the thing. We are changing all the time. We're changing all the time. And we're creating impact toward change all the time, you know? So we've got to challenge. I love what you said. Challenge those beliefs. Yeah.
Challenge the beliefs. Okay. And your number 3 is action, which of course we know we can think about things. We can daydream all day. We can really get our mind where it needs to be. But unless we actually execute and put action behind it, we'll just stay stuck.
No,
like
it's
we said
true.
In the very beginning, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's like, you know, yes, thoughts become things. They can. I think they do. And I think we have a better chance of them moving the way we want to when we take action and not just sit and think and ruminate. Yeah. I think one of the fastest ways to also self-sabotage is to ruminate on some things. And so in order to avoid self-sabotaging, then what's that thing in front of you? You've got to act. There, so many times we're going for certainty. And remember, a belief is a feeling of certainty. It's a feeling of certainty, right? Yeah, so this is why I think, I know without a shadow of a doubt that the only way we're going to create certainty in our lives is by act. We've got to be in action. That's the only thing, right? So we can think about it. We can be afraid about it. We can be excited about it and all those things. But if we don't move, if we don't act, if we don't take those leaps, you won't know. You won't move. You won't go. Right. And so I find that a lot of times people are waiting for a sure thing, or is this going to be it? There's a risk either way. Take the risk, the risk, but you got to act. It's like, for me, one of the things that was a challenge in getting the first knee replacement, and I remember like being sort of embarrassed to talk about it, but I think it's important, is my BMI, it had to be under a certain number. It had to be. And I've been challenged with weight issues for like 20 years. Yeah. And this is the year that I've decided we're stopping that. Like I just decided, right? Yeah. That requires action.
Right. Exactly.
I've got to believe beyond reason. I've got to believe beyond reason that it can happen despite whatever's happened before. My mindset's in check. Now we got to move. We got to act. We got to get ready, and I mean, not get ready to get ready, but like, let's go. Like, so there's just certain things that I know I can do and acting is doing that are going to prepare me for success through this and continue. Right. So I can remove an excuse, but I still got to act. I got to still take action.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is obviously, as we know, the hardest part, but the most necessary part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It totally is.
It is. Oh my gosh, Kelly, I am so happy to have you on the podcast today. I think that this is such a great episode, chock full of amazing advice from you. I want to thank you for your vulnerability and for sharing your story and your health journey, because it's not easy. And I know you have a big journey and a big year ahead of you, but I just love how you have framed it for yourself and how you just have a let's go attitude towards it.
Thank you.
Because that's what you have to do, right? And after this year is over, you're going to be like a new woman with 2 new knees, and you're going to look back and say, thank God I took action.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah, yes. Exactly.
So tell my listeners where they can find you. I know they can take a listen to your podcast, Let's Be Honest Before We Start Pretending, which I love that title. And they can find that anywhere they can get podcasts. Yes. Where can they find you on social?
So on Instagram, it's at Kelly Mobeck. So my first and last name. And LinkedIn is, I believe, the same. It's the same. Why am I blanking on what my social media is right now? That's so interesting.
Well, that's because we don't really ever go look at our own social media, right?
Yeah, I definitely don't. Yeah. So, but LinkedIn, everything is my name. So
everything's on your name, and you have a website as well.
Yeah. And that's also my name, Kelly J. Mobeck.
And we'll just link it all in the show notes so
thank you
can find you very easily.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem at all.
Yeah. So I've got to tell you, thank you so much. When you reached out, I was like, oh, Chrissy, she is literally one of my favorite coaches and people on the planet, right? I follow you like crazy. And I remember the day I got to meet you in person. I was on a beach, y'all. And it was so much fun. It was so awesome.
So much fun.
Right. And we just had a great time. So, and I think that the work that you are putting out into the world is so important. And so thank you for inviting me in to be able to contribute and create impact in your world as well on your podcast, which is amazing. So I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Well, right back at you, girl. And I'm glad that we're doing the same work, Suburban Warriors together, just, helping to empower each other, empower other women, and, really just helping others to live their best lives.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Yeah. So yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening today. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. We will be back next week with another amazing Suburban Warrior story. And don't forget to give us a like on the podcast, give us a review. We would love to hear from you. All right. Talk to you guys again next week.